What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm Kraken.
And I'm Maroon.
And today we're going to be talking about some important topics that a lot of you guys have been asking for us. It's come to our attention that a ton of you guys are beginners, want to know what gun to buy. You guys are asking us all the time what gun to buy. We're hoping to answer that in this video, kind of break down some kind of ideas that go into your first gun. These are all three different guns here that we've owned. We have some more in the back here, my M14. We've been through guns, and we kind of know what we look for in guns now and what we would recommend for you guys to buy in guns. So Maroon's got some points here. I've got some points. We both have different opinions. That's why both of us are here. But we can definitely agree on a lot of things. And yeah, we just want to kind of address all you guys asking. So let's get into the video. Let's talk about some things you need to look for in your first gun. So let's do it. Okay, so this is going to be a bit more of a longer video. We just kind of want to be a super casual chat here. Just kind of breaking down some things. But yeah, what do you want to start off with?
So the first thing I want to start off is kind of the platform you want to start with. We're kind of coming at this with the mindset that this is your very first gun. You've never bought one before, or maybe you're getting back into the sport after many years. So you don't know kind of what's going on. You don't know how to work on guns. You don't know how to fix guns, and the maintenance is new to you as well. So kind of what we recommend is an AEG as the first gun, or automatic electric gun, which is a battery-powered gun. We do not recommend a gas gun as your first one because there's a lot more like fine-tuning and maintenance that goes on with that.
It's mainly the maintenance for gas guns for sure. There's a lot of things that can break, and really any gun can break, but there's just a lot more that you have to do and maintain with a gas gun. So,
yes, yeah, that's true. So yeah, like all the maintenance stuff is a lot bigger with a gas gun versus an AEG. You can kind of pick up and throw a battery in it and just go. There's still gonna be like some cleaning that goes on, but there's a lot less like hard moving parts like blowback action and stuff like that isn't gonna like wear and tear on your gun the same. Unless you get an AEG that has an electric blowback system, that will break down first. That'll probably be the first thing to go, just because it's a more robust moving part that's getting beaten up more often.
For sure.
So kind of like what we recommend is an AEG and an M4 platform as your starter. We recommend the M4 because it's the most popular, which I know that sounds kind of lame, but being that it's the most popular, it's easiest to come by for parts. You're not going to find all these weird parts that are super hard to get because, I mean, they're super popular, so you can get them anywhere. Replacement parts are super easy, and if you do need to get your gun teched, it'll be much easier to find someone who knows how to work on it because everyone...
And probably cheaper as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's probably cheaper.
I think if you aren't going to go with an M4, our next recommendation would be an AK. That's kind of the other next most supported platform, I would say. If you just hate M4s, you can't touch an M4, like they're too oversaturated, I would go with an AK. But again, the main reason why we're saying this is not to, totally just persuade you to buy an M4. If you really want to go somewhere else, by all means, go ahead. But they definitely are just the most supported platform, the most tried and true. They're just going to work probably the best and the longest. And the main reason for that also is just a lot of different AEGs are very priority. Like they have a very for instance, the Elite Force MP7, super cool gun. It's a new AEG, really cool that they're making an AEG MP7, but I would never recommend that to a beginner because it's one of a kind. There's no other parts for it. There's no support in the aftermarket world. No one knows how to work on that gun yet, and it's just going to be a terrible headache for you if something goes wrong. So I would highly not recommend something like that. That's very one-to-one, is I guess what we're trying to say. But M4s are very versatile. Really, any M4 part pretty well can go in another M4. So you're just kind of a ton of room there to work. So yeah.
And then the last platform to start that you could start with, but we don't recommend, is an HPA platform. The reason we don't recommend is we personally don't have any experience with it, so we don't want to bias anything, and also the price is very expensive to get into it. So that's why we recommend an AG, just because it's cheaper to get into. So moving on, kind of to start, you're just starting Airsoft. You want to get into it, but you're not 100% sure what gun to get or if you want to stick with this sport. So first, we recommend that you either borrow a friend's gun or you go to a field, rent a couple times first. Make sure you want to invest in this sport and that it's for you. Don't jump into this, get the most expensive gun, and expect it to be awesome, and you end up not liking it. It's not quite what you imagined it to be, and now you're $600-$700 into this sport that you want nothing to do with now because you bought a very expensive gun. Just because you go and see some YouTube video, some guy get some crazy kill feed, doesn't mean you're going to get some crazy kill feed the very first time you go. Yeah. So that's why we recommend renting or borrowing a friend's gun the first couple times, just to make sure it's for you. And then the don'ts, we don't recommend that you go out and just buy a super expensive gun or a gun that looks really cool, or get a gun built that you saw on YouTube or saw in a video game that you're like, I have to have this. I'm going to pay someone to build it for me, or something along that line. We don't recommend getting a very expensive gun or a super upgraded high-end gun to start. We recommend starting off a little bit cheaper, and don't get a gun that just looks cool or is the most expensive one on the rack.
Don't buy the cheapest gun either. I know it can seem super, like, our channel especially is very budget focused for Airsoft, so we definitely take a unique perspective on those things, but there's certain things you don't want to cheap out on, and one of those is definitely a gun, especially, again, going back to what Maroon said about renting or borrowing a gun for the first time. It's super important to do that because, yeah, you can easily just be like, oh, I'll just pick up a gun for $100 or whatever, and just go have some fun for the day. And that's easy enough to do, and it seems like a good idea, but there is a huge difference between a $100 gun and these guns we have here. These guns are super upgraded. There's guys on the field that have way better guns than what even we have, and we spent hundreds of dollars on these guns. There is a huge difference between a $100 gun and a $1,200 gun, which I know sounds crazy. A lot of people have $1,200 guns. It is honestly ridiculous, and you are not going to have a good time if you have a cheap gun. I can pretty well guarantee that. If you're just playing with your buddies, you're having a good time, then absolutely go for it. We've played for years with just Springer shotguns and had a blast. But if we were to go to our field that we play at now with Springer shotguns, it would not be a good time. We would get our butts kicked, and
it wouldn't be a fun day.
Yeah, so I think just that's another thing is don't spend too much and don't spend too little, and the way you can know that is by going out, trying it for the first time. We had a guy who came with us. He played, I think, twice with us before he bought a gun. And he knew that this is what he wanted to do before he bought a gun. And I cannot recommend that enough. It is super important. Make sure you know that this is what you want to do. So,
another thing to add on to that was when he came and he borrowed a friend's gun, he was using a pretty upgraded gun. So if he were to go from that upgraded gun as his expectation of what a gun is, the only gun he's used, to now going to a significantly cheaper gun, he's going to be like, whoa, why did I get this gun? Because it's so cheap and it just I don't have any advantage over anyone. This gun disadvantages against anyone because it's just slower, not as accurate, and just all in all, it's just not as great of a gun. Then the next point is kind of do a lot of research before you get a gun. If you're gonna get one, we recommend getting a more popular gun. I know that a lot of people want a unique gun, but I recommend a popular gun because there's probably a lot of reviews out for it. There's probably a lot of people who have positive comments about it. And that's a good sign of a gun that you want. So make sure you find one that you like, you think it looks cool, whatever, in the price range, in the budget that you want. And then make sure that it's good. Watch some YouTube videos on it, watch lots of reviews. Make sure it doesn't have some weird issue or it's just a lemon. Make sure that it's a good gun that's going to last you a while. And then adding on to the price kind of range, with the not buying the most expensive but not buying the cheapest, we recommend kind of going starting off with like a more mid-tier gun or on the higher end. And the reason we recommend that is just because you're going to have a better time out on the field with a higher end gun. The higher end it goes, the more fun you're going to have because you're going to outclass more people. You're going to have more of an advantage against people.
And our lights keep dying here. So I think now we've kind of hashed out so some good suggestions in terms of looking for your first gun. But I think we want to dive into that a bit more. There's definitely some features on these guns that are the reason why we've picked these guns. And we're just going to kind of go over that now. Things in the airsoft market have improved significantly over the years. I remember when you bought this gun, I had a similar gun at the time, and really there wasn't any guns that had any features, really. It was just the look of the gun, the rail system it had, or whatever. But definitely my gun here and your gun here. There's a lot of newer things that are being developed for AUGs, which are really cool, actually. Like triggers and springs, my spring system here. So we'll kind of dive into that a bit more here. So, yeah.
Yeah, so like also with the higher up you go, you're going to get more of those features. Like one thing, like my Crytac here, it's got like a billet style receiver and all that. And it's got all the trades and it's got the Gucci M-Lock rail and all that. You don't need that. Yes, it looks cool and it like, yes, this is a lighter rail system because it's M-Lock, but you can get away with on your first gun having a more traditional style M4 with a traditional pistol grip and a quad rail. Or maybe you don't even need a rail. Without a rail will be cheaper, but if you get a rail, quad rails are going to be cheaper too, generally just because they're not as cool anymore and they're cheaper to develop, I guess. And then also like something on both of these guns that's going to make it more expensive is like the ambi stuff. Like this is an ambi fire selector. Same with that.
Which means ambidextrous, by the way, so you can use it from both sides. I think we should just clarify that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And then also something I like is battery storage. This has a bigger stock than this crane stock. I find it much easier to get batteries in and out of this thing because it's bigger. Versus this, it's not fun. Yeah. And then another thing to look for is sling points. It's something that's usually overlooked because you don't even think about a sling when you're buying your first gun. But this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe even more sling attachment points.
I think mine only has 2, but I never run a sling. So that might be something that totally doesn't affect you. I know Maroon runs a sling all the time.
I love slings.
And his gun is great for that. But mine only has 2, and I couldn't care less because I never run a sling. But it's at least nice, I think, what you were saying, just to have the option of it. That's something I didn't think about when I bought this gun. And yeah, that's a great suggestion, actually. Because, yeah, maybe you don't think you're going to run a sling. I've never really ran slings. But maybe you want to. And you don't know that until you've owned the gun for a year. And you're like, hey, I should try a sling. And you try your buddy's sling for the first time, and you love it. So, and especially if you have a pistol, or you're planning to get a pistol or a sidearm of any kind, you're going to need a sling. So, yeah, great suggestion for sure.
And then some of those bonus features on the inside of the gun that you might want to look for is tight bore barrel. A lot of guns now are starting to come with tight bore barrels right out of the box, and that's going to give you a huge advantage on the field.
Definitely.
Not having a tight bore barrel, it's almost a necessity at this point. You have to have one just to keep up with everyone else, especially outdoors. You're going to want that tight bore barrel.
My gun didn't come with one. Maroon's did, but it was the first thing that I upgraded on mine. I was like, his accuracy is just slaughtering mine, so I might as well upgrade. And that's a $100 upgrade right there that came with his gun. And mine was cheaper at the time, but once I got that upgrade, yours was a lot cheaper than mine. So, yeah, definitely something that you need to think about for sure.
And then a lot of guns are starting to come out with MOSFETs and computer components that almost turn your gun into a computer. And you don't need all that to start. You don't need fancy burst modes and pre-cocking and controllable fire rates and all that. A lot of guns are starting to do that right out of the box, but you don't need that. Really, all you need is safe semi-auto. Most fields only allow semi, especially indoors. You're probably just going to be stuck to semi. So even if you have that fancy burst mode, you're never going to use it except just to show off to your friends. So you don't need all that. You don't need these cool features.
I think another thing there too is a lot of people see these YouTubers that they watch and see their videos and their upgraded guns, and they have these crazy gears inside the guns, the things that they don't even know what they're talking about, but they think they need that. Both of us have completely stock gearboxes pretty well, and you just don't need those crazy shimmed gears and crazy gear ratios and stuff like that. Don't worry about that. Just get a gun that works, and you'll be far happier than messing around thinking you need an $800 build to start off with. You don't need to copy someone that you look up to, or that you've seen their videos and see them getting a ton of kills. You don't need it, and they're probably spending a ton of money in Airsoft, and that's fine, because it's their hobby, or it's maybe even their career. You don't need the craziest build, is I guess what I'm trying to say. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then to close this off and kind of end things, I want to go over some hidden costs that you might find along the way, or actually you will find along the way, not that you might find. So some of those hidden costs are like BBs. You don't think about BBs when you're buying a gun, but I spent $50 on 5,000.32 BBs. And that's $50 right there. Like, that adds up. Next is like a spring change. If you don't get a gun with a quick change spring system in it, both of these two guns have quick change springs. This one doesn't. It's older. It doesn't have a quick change spring. It just wasn't around back then.
Well, and one thing I'll mention there too is that's actually the reason mainly why I bought my gun. My previous gun didn't have a quick change spring. A buddy of ours wanted to start playing indoor, and I simply was like, no, I can't play indoor because I don't want to have to go at the hassle of changing my spring. That gun broke, and I was really looking for a gun that had a quick change spring. And this one is a ridiculous quick change spring, even quicker than this one. This one you still have to do a little bit. But this one I literally pop out one screw and I have the spring out, which is fantastic. And that's honestly the main reason why I bought this gun. So it's just, I think it's just finding things to address that you might not know about yet, or just watch other Airsoft videos and you'll probably learn really quick. Or if you rent or if you borrow a friend's gun, you're going to find these things really quick. And you'll be happy.
So. So you might have to pay for a quick change spring if you don't have a quick change system. And then next, batteries and charger. If you're getting an electric gun, you got to have a battery to run that thing. And you also have probably a couple. Yeah, we recommend probably getting a couple. Like one, unless it's a huge battery, is probably not going to last you all day.
When we're playing all day, we go through at least 2 batteries. So
we usually go through some of the smaller batteries that fit in our guns. Don't have as high of a charge, so we do go through them quicker. So keep that in mind when you're buying a gun. Budget for that. Don't get a gun and then I don't have any other money to get all these other little things. And then next, like attachments. Are you gonna run this gun stock, or are you gonna put some stuff on it and make it look cool? Make you maybe a little faster on the field.
That adds up.
And then mags. We'll lastly touch on mags. Are you getting mid caps like these, or are you going to just run high caps? High caps are cheaper to start because they can hold more, and you might not need as many. But you might not want to stick with high caps for long. You might want to switch over to mid caps because they're cooler and they don't jingle around as much.
You don't have to wind them. And we started with mid caps. We played with mid caps for years. We're like,
high caps.
Oh, sorry. We started with high caps. We battled with high caps for years. And we were like, why would we ever want to change over to mid caps? And then I remember you made the switch to mid caps, and it was like, wow, he's so quiet. He's not jingling around like Santa Claus is coming to town anymore. And I definitely remembered my finger getting sore after winding all day, the mag. And definitely we both run mid caps now. A lot of more experienced players end up running mid caps. But it's totally fine if you want to run high caps. I know plenty of people that run high caps and they're totally happy doing that. It's totally personal preference. So,
All right, I think that's it.
So I guess just to close, I hope we've kind of picked your brains a little bit. We really went into this video not wanting to just... People ask me all the time, like, hey, what gun should I buy? And that's all I say. And it's honestly, like... It's tough because I don't know anything about that person, and I don't want to just make a recommendation to you guys about what gun I think you should buy. If it was me, this gun's perfect for me. I know, Maroon, you probably would never buy this gun.
I don't know. It's still a great gun. But
Yeah.
I'm super happy with
Exactly.
my Crytek.
And I wouldn't trade my gun for Maroon's gun any day of the week. You look at them, they're both M4s, and you're like, what's the difference? But there really is no just one cookie cutter gun for everyone. So that's really what we wanted to try to illustrate in this video. I hope we've done a good job with that. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. If anyone wants to make any gun recommendations in the comments, absolutely go ahead. Keep it just kind of, bias free. We'll say great things about these guns, but at the end of the day, it's your decision, and you can choose whatever you want. You can totally listen to what we said. You can totally avoid everything we just said. It's really your preference, but just our recommendations, and this is how we went about choosing our guns. Not our first guns. We definitely made some mistakes along the way. We've both owned about 3 or 4 guns now. So we hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one. Hope you learned a little something. This is something we're going to be doing a little more frequently, just having a chat about some things. So, hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see ya. Peace! Cool.